All right. Let's get some up here. Yeah, so thank you, Marissa, and thanks for everyone for coming in today. This has been a really awesome group for me. So super grateful to be a part of this, and grateful to be talking about overcoming limiting beliefs. This is something that's kind of near and dear to my heart for sure. Something that I have been working on, and we work on with clients, and I think it's something that we all struggle with. So I think this could be something valuable to work on yourself and to work on with your employees. And I love Marissa's rule of no soapboxes. So I am not coming from some higher place of enlightenment. I consider myself to be a fellow mountain climber. And I think because for me, especially in my 20s, I figured that, I'll work really hard and I'll kind of reach the mountaintop, and life will be easier. And then I got knocked down enough times to realize that there is no mountaintop. There are peaks and valleys. But if you really want to continue to be happier, life is hard. It's an uphill climb. So the analogy that I kind of am working with is that the only thing you can do is to help to climb the mountain is to equip yourself with better equipment to climb the mountain, and to find fellow mountain climbers to help pull you up when you need help up the mountain. So I invite you all to be fellow mountain climbers this evening. And hopefully you will walk out of the next 10 or 15 minutes with some better tools to help you climb the mountain. So a little bit about me. I was born and raised on Cape Cod. That on the bottom left there, that is my brother Peter, or I should say former enemy turned best friend Peter. He and I started our first business as teenagers. It was Cal Bros boat cleaning. And so that's kind of where I got my business bug from, and I've just been fascinated with businesses ever since. So went to Providence College, got my degree in business management, and started my career building my own book of business in the financial services industry right out of college. So did that for about 6.5 years, realized I was completely miserable and had no idea what I wanted to do. So I hired a coach, and that was kind of my introduction and my beginning of my journey for personal development. Landed a dream job down on Long Island, working in the travel industry, kind of training travel agency owners on marketing and sales, and getting sent around the world for free, which was awesome until the pandemic hit, and then it wasn't very awesome. So right around the same time, my brother and his wife had just had their first baby here in Connecticut, so I got one look at her and started looking around here. And I connected with Dave Olchowski, who's the firm owner here. He had just purchased the franchise and was looking for somebody from the sales and marketing space to launch the company with him. So we launched in October of 2020, so it has been a roller coaster of 18 months. It has been awesome. And fun facts about me, I'm a family of psychs, so no, not psychos, or not usually psychos. My father is a child psychologist. My mother is a body psychotherapist and Reiki master. And my brother is a leadership and mindfulness coach. So those are interesting family conversations. My personal mantra is taking fun seriously. And the reason there's a picture of Vigo on the screen there is that my middle name is Aragorn. So for those of you who don't know who that is, he is the savior of Middle Earth from the Lord of the Rings. And the answer is yes, my parents smoked a lot of weed in the 80s. This is my why. On the left there, you'll see my girlfriend, Lauren, our dog, Kira, my brother, his wife, and my niece, Claire, really passionate about them and being passionate about being a Funkle. My core values are clarity, loyalty, transparency, family, compassion, and connection. So the process of limiting beliefs. So what I'm hoping to do here is kind of give you a little bit of framework, a little bit of science around how limiting beliefs work and how you can start working on this. If you Google how to overcome limiting beliefs, you'll get 17 different recipes. So I would say play with different ones. If something isn't working for you, then experiment and try something else. This is built around a lot of common themes that I have learned, and this is how I am working on this personally and how we're working on it with clients. So what I want to do is just give you a little bit of framework, dive into how each of these works, and then hopefully have you walk away with the ability to do some of this on your own. So overcoming anything, any type of change in your life always starts with self-awareness. So identifying what that belief is. And then second, it is validating your feelings. So letting yourself off the hook for feeling that way, not being so hard on yourself. And at that point, you can start working on challenging that belief, asking some questions that will challenge that belief, and I'll take you through some of those. And then it's really checking in on, are you creating an environment around you to support that growth, to support that change. And then it's working with your brain, so training your brain to work differently with that belief. So I'll do a little bit of a dive into each of these. It always starts with understanding where you're coming from. So when we look at the results that we're getting, we tend to look at the things that are really obvious. So the actions that we take and the decisions that we make. So pretty easy, right? If I want different results, all I have to do is change my actions and behaviors. But so often we try to change our actions and behaviors and nothing is changing. So when that happens, what do we know about an iceberg? That 90% is under the water, right? So you can look inside yourself and really start to dive in and understand where that's coming from. And the first place you can look is simply at your skills. So is this simply a skill gap, a knowledge gap in that area? Whatever the topic is, like, do I need to take leadership training? Do I need to take sales training? Do I need to read a book on this topic? So being really honest with yourself on, do I have the skills to make the correct actions and the right decisions to get the results that I want? And if you look at that and you're like, no, I've got the training and the skills that I need, that's when you can really start to kind of look at your beliefs. And that's what we'll be focusing on today. So what do you believe about that topic? Do you believe that you're good enough to do that? Do you believe you deserve to be successful at that? Do you believe that you have everything that it takes to do that? Or do you believe that's really hard, or that your market doesn't support it, or that you can't do that? Limiting beliefs are something that can really, really hold you back. So understanding what they are and then working through them, really, really powerful. So once you have that confidence, I guess I've worked through this belief. If you're still not able to apply the skills that you have to take the actions and make the decisions to give you the results that you want, then you need to check in with your values. So are your actions and decisions aligned with your values? Is your business aligned with your values? Is your team aligned with your values? If there's a value mismatch, you're going to find yourself procrastinating, not doing things that you want to do, and not taking those actions and decisions, because when you do that, it is bumping up against your values. So if you can be really honest with yourself, say, no, I'm aligned with my values, that's when you look at your identity. So who do I see when I look in the mirror? What do I say about myself when no one else is looking? Do I identify as a good business person, a good business owner, a good partner, a good parent? Those things can really affect you being able to apply all the other skills that you have to make those decisions. And the biggest thing is your environment. So all around us in the water is your environment. I am a firm believer that, and the phrase that you are the average of the five people you spend the most time with. So really checking in with, are the people around me positive or negative? Are they helping me to move towards what's most important to me, or are they hindering that? So really getting a deep understanding of where and why and how your beliefs are affecting your actions and decisions can give you a framework to start looking at it. And then the biggest thing, and this is probably been the most impactful practice that I've had in the last 10 years in the last 5 years, is self-compassion. So giving yourself a break. I don't know if any of you have read Self-Compassion by Kristen Neff, but this has been a transformational book for me. And if you don't believe me, some lady named Brene Brown is on the front cover. So if you don't believe me, believe her. But just taking a moment to validate your feelings. Like, the biggest thing is that regardless of what resources you have or what opportunities you have, the experience you're having is real. So if you're having a hard time, it's okay to have a hard time, and you're allowed to have a hard time. So you're allowed to have whatever beliefs you have, and just being able to have that mindfulness moment and that acceptance is really a bit the starting point to that. And then understanding everyone suffers, everyone has challenges, I'm not alone. And asking yourself, what do I need to hear right now from myself or from someone else to help me move forward? So validating, self-compassion, love this book. I don't know, I didn't see that on the list, Marissa, but I think we're gonna have to put it on the next one. And then once we're kind of out of fight or flight mode, we can really start to look a little bit deeper and start challenging our beliefs. So how true is the belief that I have? What are the supporting facts? Is there evidence to the contrary? What would it look like to feel the opposite? So imagining what it would feel like and look like to feel the opposite. And then, is this helping me? Is having this belief helpful to me, or is it holding me back? And then how would I think about this if I were someone else? If I were my best friend looking at me, what would I say to myself? So really starting to challenge that belief. And then it's so like, this is so important to create an environment to support your belief. So taking a hard look at the people you spend the most time with, do they support my limiting beliefs? When I'm in a bad mood and I start talking negatively about the things that are challenging me, are they supporting that, or are they supporting me to move towards my dreams and challenging me when I'm having a tough time, and giving me support? If you are hanging around negative people, then you are going to just naturally tend towards that negativity. And then how do I feel after a conversation? When you spend time with your inner circle, the people you're spending a lot of time with, how do you feel when you get out of that conversation or that experience? You feel energized and excited, or do you feel drained and you're really unhappy? And just understanding what you're consuming in your free time. So I don't know if any of you have seen The Social Dilemma on Netflix. If you have, I'm sorry. It is one of the most terrible things I've ever seen. So I don't even know if I want to recommend it to you or not, but it's basically about how social media manipulates us, and they're really, really good at it. It's terrifying. But basically, anything you read is that the more time you spend on social media, the more unhappy you're going to be. And like, I understand we're millennials. I run our Facebook page and our LinkedIn. That's part of staying connected to people. Just check in with yourself, how much time you're spending on there and how you're feeling when you get off. You know, that could be something that's really dragging you down. And then it's about training your brain. So the really cool part about your brain is that your subconscious does not know the difference between what's real and what isn't. So that's why the law of attraction is a real thing, is because what you tell yourself, your brain doesn't know whether it's true or not. So the more you tell yourself positive things, the more that your brain, the filter in your brain stops that stuff. It's like, oh, that aligns with what I'm telling you. So that your brain automatically moves you towards those things. So that starts with idealization. So actually knowing what you want. So having your goals, having your vision boards. I have my vision board as my screensaver. So every time I open my computer, I get a little flash of it. And then it's understanding what you want, making it visual, and then verbalizing it, whether it's a mantra, or I'll talk about I am statements in a second, but just saying it over and over and over again to yourself scientifically, your brain will help you to find what you want if you tell it what you want over and over and over again. So that's a little bit of the framework, and I'll just kind of take you through how I'm working on a limiting belief of mine quickly here, and then we'll wrap up. So limiting belief of mine, I am too young to coach business owners who have been in business for 20 plus years. You know, I was a teenager when they started their business. Who am I to come in and give them advice on their business? And it's okay. I accept that I feel that way sometimes. And when I really look at how true that belief is, I've had dozens and dozens of conversations with tenured business owners, and they have the same challenges that we do. They're just as messy as us. They need just as much help as we do. And I surround myself with people that believe in my coaching ability. My brother and my girlfriend, they are constantly helping support me and push me. And that is a big part of why I am much more confident having that conversation than I was. And here are just a few of my I am statements. I am an expert in my field because I am well trained and I am constantly learning. I am confident in my abilities and I continue to work on them because I've had great successes in my life, great feedback on my abilities, and I'm actively working on them. And then the last one is, so I have 20 of these that I do that I say every day when I get in the car. And the last one is always, I am proud of who I am and who I'm becoming, because I have worked very hard on who I've become, and I continue to work on who I'm becoming. So the more you say this stuff to yourself, it's not going to change overnight, and you're not going to be like 2 days later, you're like, oh, I feel amazing and I've achieved all my goals and I've overcome all my limiting beliefs. It is a science, it's a practice. And the more you orient your brain towards it, the more your brain will find those opportunities for you. So just as far as resources, Atomic Habits by James Clear, huge fan of that book, SelfCompassion. I can throw the link in here too, but Peter Sage has a couple of really good TED Talks on this. And then just as far as what my company would offer around that, I've got some free resources on our blog around these things. We offer complimentary master classes and all types of seminars and other things that are a little bit beyond the scope, but would love to connect with any of you, discuss this. Happy to be climbing the mountain with all of you, and hopefully that gives you some takeaways that you can use for yourself and for your team.